Hello students, so till now we have done up to lecture number 7 of principles of management. So this is lecture number 8. Lecture number 8 of principles of management. See, we have gone through division of work, right? After then we will go through number 2 principle, second principle, that is authority and responsibility. Authority and responsibility. So Fayal has said that authority means, what we mean by authority? It is the right to give orders. It is right to give orders, right? And responsibility means it is the corollary of authority. That means when you are giving the right to do a particular work to a particular person, that particular person has the responsibility to do the work perfectly as it is given by you. Suppose I have told you that I will conduct a Zoom class sharp at 12 p.m. by tomorrow. Now some people are coming at 11 p.m. Some people are coming at 1 p.m. and then saying that, ma'am, it is showing that the meeting has not yet started. What does it mean? I have given you some authority, some order that you please join students at this particular time period. So you haven't joined within that particular time period. You have the responsibility to join in that particular time frame. So when a person is giving any authority and order to a particular person, then that particular person has the responsibility to do that work perfectly. There are two types of authority, students. Authority can be bifurcated into two parts. Official authority, which is the authority to command, and personal authority. What does it mean? Which is the authority of the individual manager. Okay. Now the principle of authority and responsibility, what it states? It states that managers need authority to fulfill their responsibilities. Until and unless you will be providing me the particular authority, how can I know that what will be my responsibility? So they should be given authority to fulfill their responsibility, isn't it? Enterprise should maintain balance between the authority and responsibility. A balance should be maintained between these two. Authority is both formal and informal. I can give you authority both formally or informally. Formal authority means it should be according to some stated rules and regulations in the organization. And informal authority means just to negotiate the stated authority. An organization must build safeguards against abuse of managers' informal authorities. For example, what is informal authority in the organization? Just take one example. A manager is saying a particular worker that go and just submit this letter to bank. And do one thing, Mr. A, while coming from bank, you just bring for me 10 pieces of sweets, or you do just a shopping for me. So this is the informal authority. Informal authority, which is a abusive one. So this cannot be used by a manager. This should be taken care of, right? So just take an example. A sales manager has responsibility to achieve the sales target, right? Sales manager has to achieve the sales target. Now he has authority to plan his visits to customers. He has authority to plan his visits to customers, present organizations' offers and schemes, each and everything. At the same time, he has also authority to negotiate the prices with the customers. Negotiation is very much important because you cannot give the products at that particular price which the customer wants. You have to negotiate with them. If the sales manager offers discounts which brings bigger volume of business and greater profits, there is imbalance between responsibility and authority, but it is in favor of the business. However, if the sales manager gives discount for personal benefits leading to loss for an organization, it is considered as an abuse of authority. So his responsibility, his authority was just to make the sales target, achieve the sales target and all these things. But he has made higher discount amount. 10% to be the discount amount, but for higher sale he has done 20% discount. So that is good if that will be good if and only if the profit becomes higher due to this 20% discount. How the profit will become higher? Due to the higher rate of sales. So if the sales become higher, then 20% discount is okay, even if there is an imbalance between the authority and responsibility. But if he does it so for his personal benefit and the organization, he is not thinking about the organization, then it will not work. Fine. So this is authority and responsibility. Number 3 is discipline. As we know, discipline is very much important for each and every cases. Discipline means what? It means following the organization rules and regulation. Organizations, rules and regulations, isn't it? See, it means honoring the employment contract by both the employees and the management without any prejudice towards each other. So you have to honor. Both the employer should honor the employee as well as the employee has to honor and respect the employer also. So this principle of discipline, what it states? It states that the organization should have a clear and fair agreements. The agreement should be clear and fair and no ambiguous statements should be used here. Okay, that is not clear. The clearly stated penalties should be there, that yes, if you were not able to meet the target or if you just do any prejudice to the organization, then you will be penalized for this amount. You have to pay 5,000 amount, or this much of jail will be there, imprisonment will be there, like this. For example, if the company has fixed standards for production, wage rates and incentive plans, then company should pay to the worker according to the target achieved, that we have already seen in the differential piece wage system. The workers should try to achieve the targets, and if they are unable to achieve the targets, then they must accept the differential wage rate without any prejudice against the company. Yes, Mr. C, the worker, as we have seen in the differential piece wage system in lecture number 7, right? That yes, in differential piece wage system, the worker C was most inefficient worker. So now what he has done, due to this particular situation, he has tried to do any harm to the organization. That should not be done by the worker. Both the employer and employee should maintain the discipline within the organization. So this was number 3. Number 4 is unity of command. What does it mean? The principle of unity of command means that each participant in a formal organization should receive orders from and be responsible to only one superior. He should be responsible to only one superior, okay? The principle of command, it states that there should be one and only one boss for every individual employee, not more than that. Only one boss will be there and he will be suggesting what to do, what not, and the employees will work accordingly. The orders and instructions should come from only one superior. That should provide the clear direction, because a clear direction is very much needed to do a work. Suppose you have many boss. A person, Mr. A, has many boss. What will happen? He will give a particular direction. He will give another direction. He will give another direction. He will give another direction. So that will become a chaos for Mr. A, that what direction to be followed. So that will create a situation, problematic situation. So for example, the production manager instructs its supervisor. The production manager, what he has done, he has given instruction to whom? To his supervisor, okay, to produce product X. Okay, so said the supervisor, his name is A. Mr. A just produce product A. But the sales manager comes and tells the supervisor to stop production of A. Now, who is Mr. A? Mr. A boss is both the production manager and sales manager. Now sales manager came and said that Mr. A, no need to produce this product A. Stop that. Just produce product B instead of product A. What will that particular person, Mr. A, that is supervisor, will do? Because there are different set of comments from both the bosses, whom he will be responsible for. So that's why it is being said that don't make or create different bosses for a particular person. Just take the example of your home. Once your mom has come and said you to study accounts, and the dad may came and said you to study BST. Now what to do? And now I am very much sure that you will be starting to play anything or play mobile games or anything else. You will not listen to anyone's comment, because there are several comments coming from different corners. Whom to listen, whom to follow. So this is unity of command. Now number 5 is unity of direction. Unity of direction means it states that the efforts of all the units of our organization should be coordinated and focused towards the achievement of organization goal. So coordination and focus, these two things are very much essential to accomplish the goal of the organization, right? So to ensure the unity of action and coordination, the departments with same objectives should follow one plan and have at least one head to lead. Take the example, the sales department may be headed by a sales manager, isn't it? Who will set the sales target, and he will prepare the marketing strategies also to achieve these targets. So on the other hand, if you see, the production department should be headed by a factory manager, who will be responsible for doing the production schedule, organizing resources, all these things. So both the sales and production in charges should coordinate with each other so as to plan their activities effectively and efficiently, right? So we have completed in lecture number 8 up to unity of direction. After then we will move towards lecture number 9 of the principles of management. So students, focus for lecture number 9 after completion of lecture number 7, then 8, then 9. Okay, thank you.